Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Josh and this is your fourth stimulus package in news update. In today's update, we have a lot of news to get into, but first, if you would like to receive 5 free stocks from Webull valued up to $2,300, make sure to claim them by clicking my link, which you will find in the description box below. Okay, so with Joe Manchin continuing to see more backlash from his Democratic colleagues, Republicans are stepping up their talks with him to join their party. In yesterday's video, I mentioned that both John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell had reached out to Manchin with an offer, but also recently, Republicans Tom Cotton and Ted Cruz have also said they would welcome him with open arms. As of late, Manchin feels like he's been thrown under a bus after a White House staff member leaked comments he had with President Biden in negotiations, and after his Fox News interview, he feels that the comments made by Jen Psaki weren't the best words to put out there. Here is Ms. Psaki herself making a statement on the rumors of Manchin possibly switching parties.
On your favorite topic, Joe Manchin. Senator Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn are two Republicans of a few trying to get him to switch parties. What's the White House response to that, and is the president doing any sort of counter-effort to keep him in the Democratic Party?
Well, I know Senator Manchin has been asked about this himself and has spoken for himself, as I assume he will continue to do. I would just note that the president considers him a friend. He believes they share values about a range of things personally, but also about why they're in public service, which is to make life easier for working people across the country, to give people more breathing room, to lower costs of child care, of health care, to fight for good-paying union jobs. That's been a common topic of discussion, of course, between the president and Senator Manchin, but I would really point you to Senator Manchin to speak to that.
Last week, Manchin made the White House a counteroffer which did not include an extension of the expanded child tax credit, but still ended up costing $1.8 trillion. While it didn't include the expanded child tax credit, it did include universal pre-K for 10 years, an expansion of Obamacare, and billions of dollars towards climate change. Rather than extend the child tax credit for 1 or 2 more years and Build Back Better, Manchin prefers that they do it in a separate bipartisan bill and extend it for 10 more years that way. Here is the White House press secretary's reaction to Manchin's counteroffer that he had last week.
Couple questions, and going back once again to Build Back Better. Senator Manchin's last counteroffer, I guess that was early last week, included many of the priorities of the president, as well as the top line funding number, but according to multiple reports, excluded the child tax credit extensions. This is obviously one of a key priority of the White House. But as you now kind of reignite negotiations here and try to get something done soon, would the White House be willing, would the president be willing to exclude that policy from the Build Back Better package?
Well, as Major said earlier, I'm not going to negotiate from here, but I will say that if anything is broken off, you would need 60 votes to get it done, right? Because the reason why we can do a Build Back Better package with every Democrat is because it's through a reconciliation process. That would require 50 votes. Now we only have 50 votes to get, so we need every single one of those votes from the Democrats, unless there's a Republican who has a moment over Christmas where they decide they want to lower costs for people across the country. We will see. But that is a key important component to know here. We know that the child tax credit is a priority to the president. It's a priority to many people in the Senate, whose votes we need as well. It's also a priority to millions of Americans who benefited from it. It helped cut the cost of helped cut child poverty in half last year. So I'm not going to negotiate from here, obviously, but I just want to give the context of some of the factors.
So it sounds like the child tax credits extension will remain in the negotiations.
Again, I think there's a lot of discussions to happen over the next couple of weeks, but on the question of could we just move it forward alone, you'd need 60 votes to do that.
So Psaki calls the child tax credit a priority for not only the White House, but also Democrats. At this time, it's hard seeing them remove that measure from the bill, but to pass Build Back Better, that may be their only choice. The only question is, will progressive Democrats in the House and Senate be willing to pass an even more slimmed-down version of the bill? In a recent article in The New Yorker, the leader of the House Progressive Caucus, Pramila Jayapal, answered some key questions about this bill. The first question was, at this point, why not put together a bill that meets all of Manchin's specific demands and then just try to pass it? And if he votes it down, then everyone can see that. What's the downside of that approach? And Jayapal's answer was, Well, the downside is, what are his demands? I mean, the framework that he agreed to were his demands. That's what he agreed to. So she's basically saying that Manchin already agreed to the framework that they passed through the House, which actually isn't exactly true. And then the next question was, didn't he say he wanted a bill without an extension of the child tax credit and to choose fewer long-term programs over many short-term measures, and that it not be above $1.8 trillion? Jayapal's response was, well, the bill that was the framework was $1.75 trillion, and he agreed to it. So my only point is, sure, we can try to do that, but we are negotiating with somebody who changes his mind constantly. So I don't know why people think that if we go down this track, and we have to because we don't have another choice, that we're going to be able to depend on what he says today. Just in my conversation with him, there were a number of different messages, some contradictory. So basically, Jayapal thinks that Manchin's changing what he says every single day, and that we can't necessarily believe what he's saying, whereas Manchin believes that he's holding pretty true to his word, that rather than having 20 different measures and only have them extended for 1 or 2 years, he would rather maybe just have 1, 2, or 3 measures, but that have them extended for a long period of time. So then we have this child tax credit for 10 years versus just 1 or 2 years that gets extended every year, and we can't really count on that in the long-term future. Okay, so in some other news, the Biden administration decided to extend the payment pause on student loan payments until May 1st. These were supposed to end at the end of January next year, and after progressive Democrats pushed him to extend the deadline, he decided to do so. Here is Joe Biden making that announcement.
Folks, our economic recovery is the strongest in the world. But I know that because of the pandemic, many borrowers need more time to resume payments. For that reason, my administration is extending the pause on student loans repayments for 90 more days through May 1, 2022. In the meantime, folks should take advantage of the Department of Education's options to make payments easier, like income-based repayments or public service student loan forgiveness program. Look at them both. I want you to stay safe. Get vaccinated. Don't forget to get your booster. It matters. And happy holidays.
And in some other news, with the Biden administration still pushing OSHA to enforce their vaccine mandate to employers with more than 100 employees, the Supreme Court will begin hearing legal challenges at some point next month. Obviously, many businesses decided to push back against the mandate, being that they thought it was unfair that all their employees would be required to either be vaccinated or would be tested weekly in order to remain on the payroll. If these businesses decided to not enforce this mandate and not have their employees either vaccinated or test weekly, for a punishment, they could receive thousands of dollars in fines from OSHA. At this point, the White House is confident in the legal authority that they have to enforce this mandate, and in the meantime, say the Department of Justice will vigorously defend the measures. In some other news, in a recent report by the Secret Service, nearly $100 billion at a minimum were stolen from various COVID-19 relief programs set to help businesses and people who lost their jobs due to the pandemic. Obviously, when billions of dollars are being handed around freely, this is going to be enticing to criminals. However, with so many people having to wait several months to receive their unemployment benefits, with some people even being denied when they actually had very real cases, it's very disappointing to say the least that criminals were able to steal this money away from taxpayers. But on that note, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this video. If you did make it all the way to the end, I definitely appreciate your support. And if you would like to help me out for free, you can always give this video a like, a big thumbs up. That does just definitely help out with the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, as always, I'll see you in the next video.